If you thought that J. Cole's career was over, you are sadly mistaken. Welcome back to the Voiceovers Podcast. I'm 24K Logan. So, of course, it's no secret that recently, this past weekend at the Dreamville Festival, J. Cole sat on stage in front of, I guess you say 50,000 people, if not more, and he did a so-called apology, to Kendrick Lamar and to the fan base after his recent verse on 7 Minute Drill, which has now been deleted from all streaming platforms as I record this video. Now, I'm going to say this. My opinion is going to be very different from a lot of other people's opinion, and that's totally fine. That's why it's called an opinion. I can understand people's point of view and people's argument from the standpoint of hip-hop is a competitive sport and that, it has a competitive nature to it. I can understand that. I can understand people that feel like he shouldn't have dropped the diss to begin with if he didn't mean what he said. And while I do understand that and I agree with it to an extent, I don't see the reason for people to dog J. Cole just because he's sticking to his spirituality. He's sticking to his principles, his morals, the type of rapper that he has always been. J. Cole, for the majority of his career, while he has had his braggadocious moments and his moments where he would call himself Muhammad Ali or the GOAT or whatever the case may be, he has always been a conscious, heartfelt rapper also for the majority of his career. And there's plenty of songs and albums that you can go back to and listen that will prove what I just said. Now, another thing is people make it seem like he's tucking his tail in between his legs and he's running from Kendrick. No, it's not like that. The fact that Cole had the guts to even go after Kendrick to begin with says a lot about Cole and his confidence. Now, of course, with him basically, taking his statements back, it does ring an alarm for some questions about certain things, within the song and maybe even certain things within J. Cole's catalog. But for the most part, I just don't see the reason to all of a sudden say that J. Cole can never again talk about being the GOAT of his generation. He can never again compete. I think that is totally false. And the reason why is because J. Cole has an entire body of work. He has an entire catalog where the majority, if not all of his albums have went platinum. You can't point to not one single bad album. He has been on one of the greatest runs going back to 2018 with the feature runs, plus his most recent two albums, KOD and the Off Season. I'm not including Might Delete Later as an album. I get a lot of mixtape / EP vibes from it, so I'm not going to consider that an album, but I guess technically you can, but I wouldn't really consider that an album. But when you look at all of that, when you look at J. Cole's lyrical ability, if you put all of those things together, regardless of what he said over the weekend, that one statement or that one apology does not discredit his entire career. Yes, it might make you question certain things that he said, but nevertheless, you cannot deny that J. Cole has been one of the most, if not the most competitive rapper of his generation, especially for the last 5 years, as I just talked about his feature run, how he has practically bodied everybody that he's been on a feature with, no disrespect to those other artists. And I do believe that the Off Season is currently aging very well and is shaping up to be one of the greatest rap albums of this decade so far. Another thing that I wanted to comment on is people saying that if J. Cole was to get dissed by another rapper, there's no possible way for him to respond, or that there's no way he can respond. I have to disagree. Why? Again, J. Cole's lyrical ability. J. Cole's ability as an MC. He has the lyrical ability to respond to any rapper if he truly wants to. Now, I know some people might not agree with that due to him taking back his statements with what he said about Kendrick. But that showed, the 7-minute drill verse showed that he does have the capability to go toe to toe with any rapper if he really wants to. Now, whether he chooses to respond or not, that's totally up to J. Cole. Again, I can understand the argument about the competitive nature that hip hop has always had. And with J. Cole's recent statements, it's kind of hard to put him in that category. However, his body of work, his lyrical ability, his ability to do the braggadocious rap, the rap where he's calling himself Muhammad Ali or calling himself the GOAT. He has the ability to respond to any rapper if he truly wants to. But of course, whether he does or not, that's up to him. All in all, my whole point, my whole reasoning for making this video is for all the people who believe that J. Cole's career is over or that he committed career suicide, if you will. I just don't see how that's a possibility. Yes, some people may look at him different, but let's not forget J. Cole's body of work, the impact that he has had on his fans and just general hip hop fans all together. You take all that into consideration, there's no way that you can take a 15-year or roughly 15-year of J. Cole and completely wipe it away all because of an apology. There have been rappers and musicians and artists in general that have said things a lot worse than what J. Cole said. Again, I understand this is strictly about the competitive nature of hip hop. That is very true. However, it doesn't take away from the body of work that J. Cole has given us. And I do think that with the fall off being his up and coming album, as we know right now, his up and coming album and his last and final album, I do think that depending on the level of production that we get from that album, song for song, bar for bar, I do think that that can somewhat revive J. Cole, if you will. And I don't even want to say revive because I don't think that he has dropped in quality. I don't think that he has dropped in consistency. It's just that he made some comments that you have half the fans that are on his side, and then you have other fans that are extremely disappointed. And hey, it is what it is. It's called an opinion for a reason. Everybody has one. But all in all, I do not think that J. Cole's career is finished. His body of work, his ability as an MC, a top tier MC, especially for this current generation, you cannot take away all of that just because of recent statements. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button. We've got plenty of content on the way. Comment down below what you think about J. Cole's recent apology and this whole situation regarding this so-called beef. Thanks again so much for watching. And until next time, peace and love to everybody.